Hey everyone, and welcome back to Wired-Tec. In our last explainer, we were left with a massive question that basically hung in the air for decades. Well, today we're going to see how that one question lit a fire that started a scientific revolution. This is part 2 of our history of AI, the Golden Summer. And hey, if you enjoy seeing how tech history unfolds, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.
So, if you remember, we talked all about Alan Turing and how he laid the philosophical groundwork with his famous test for machine intelligence. But, a philosophical question is one thing. A real, boots-on-the-ground scientific discipline is something else entirely. So how did that leap happen? How did we get from just wondering, can machines think, to actually rolling up our sleeves and trying to build one?
Well, today we're going to answer that by diving into what's called the Golden Summer of AI. We'll start with the very birth of the field, then we'll meet a machine that could actually reason, the first chatbot ever, and even a robot that could think for itself. And you'll see how this amazing era of optimism ultimately set the stage for a pretty dramatic fall from grace. The answer to our question starts, maybe surprisingly, not in some high-tech lab, but in the halls of Dartmouth College during the summer of 1956. A small group of brilliant minds got together for a workshop that wouldn't just define a new field of science, it would give it its name. So let's break this down. The Who was basically a dream team. You had John McCarthy, and get this, he's the one who actually coined the term artificial intelligence for this event. Marvin Minsky, Nathaniel Rochester, and the legendary father of information theory, Claude Shannon. Their goal was, well, it was bold. They wanted to prove that every single aspect of intelligence could be described so precisely that a machine could copy it. For 6 weeks, that's what they did. They set out to draw the map for this brand new frontier. And here's the really crucial part. The Dartmouth conference didn't produce a new gadget or a single piece of code. Nope. Its real product was something way more important. It created a community. For the very first time, all these researchers had a shared name for what they were doing, artificial intelligence. And they had this big, unified vision for the future. It was the spark that lit the fuse for everything that came next. But this vision wasn't just talk. Oh no. One of the people who showed up to the conference brought a little something with them, a demonstration that would absolutely stun everyone in the room. They were about to see the first real AI program in action, a program that proved a machine could do a lot more than just calculate. It could reason. The program was called the Logic Theorist, and its whole purpose was to see if a machine could think without numbers. And it worked. It was unbelievably successful, independently proving 38 different mathematical theorems. So how did it do it? Well, it wasn't just brute force. It used something called heuristics, which are basically rules of thumb or mental shortcuts. Think about how a chess master doesn't look at every single possible move, but instead focuses on the ones that look the most promising. That's what this machine was doing. It was mimicking human intuition. And here's the kicker, the part that just blows my mind. Out of those 38 proofs, there was one that was really special. The logic theorists found a solution that was more elegant, more direct than the original proof that was published by human mathematicians. Think about that for a second. A machine hadn't just reasoned. It had, in a way, out-reasoned the people who built it. All of a sudden, the potential for AI seemed totally limitless. Okay, fast forward a decade to 1966. The field is ready for its next big leap. They'd proven a machine could reason, so the next big challenge was communication. Could a machine actually talk to us? Well, the answer came in the form of a program named ELIZA, the world's very first chatbot. ELIZA, created by a guy named Joseph Weizenbaum, played the part of a psychotherapist. You could type something to it, and it would reply with a nice, thoughtful, open-ended question, just like a therapist would. The way it worked was actually a pretty clever trick. ELIZA wasn't thinking, it was just using pattern matching. It would spot keywords in what you said, and then just rephrase your own sentences back to you as questions. But the effect, man, it was shockingly human. In fact, this was so powerful that it got its own name, the ELIZA effect. People would just pour their hearts out to this program, telling it their deepest, darkest secrets. And its creator, Weizenbaum, was actually horrified by this. He realized he hadn't proven machines were intelligent, he'd just proven how easy it is to create the illusion of intelligence. And maybe more importantly, he discovered that we humans are just fundamentally wired to see feelings and intelligence in machines, even when our brains know it's not really there. So while ELIZA was busy exploring the world of conversation, another team was tackling an even bigger challenge, trying to bridge the gap between pure digital logic and the messy, physical world we all live in.
It's time to meet Shaky, the first mobile robot that could look at its environment and actually reason about what it should do next. Shaky, which was developed between 1966 and 1972, was a total marvel. Its process was revolutionary. First, it would perceive. It used a camera and sensors to build a little digital map of the room it was in. Then, second, it would plan. If you gave it a complex command like push the block, it would break that down into a bunch of smaller, bite-sized actions. And finally, it would act, carrying out that plan step by step in the real world. This was the first time anyone had truly connected logical reasoning with physical action. So let's just take stock here. We've seen machines that could reason, machines that could talk, and machines that could move. This whole period, from the mid-50s to the early 70s, really truly felt like a golden age for artificial intelligence. The progress was just incredible, and the optimism was completely off the charts. But could it last? I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you how fast things were moving. In just over a decade, the entire field went from being a theoretical idea to having real working examples of reasoning, language, and even physical movement. The momentum just felt absolutely unstoppable.
And that optimism, wow. The founders of AI were genuinely convinced that a fully intelligent machine, what we now call an AGI, was right around the corner. Some thought maybe just 20 years away. The government was pouring money into research, and the future just looked so incredibly bright. But as we all know, big promises can be really, really hard to keep. Which brings us to our next big question. With all of this incredible, undeniable progress, I mean, you had robots moving around, chatbots talking to people, computers solving logic puzzles. Why did it all just come to a screeching halt? As the 1970s rolled around, the funding suddenly dried up and progress just stalled, leading to what we now call the first AI winter. So why did the music stop? We'll find out in part 3.